It began like any other ordinary day at Adobe. The servers hummed quietly. Employees sipped coffee behind glowing monitors, and millions of users across the globe logged into their accounts to edit photos, create designs, or sign digital documents, completely unaware that somewhere, someone was already inside. They had slipped through quietly, like a whisper in a storm. No alarms were triggered. No security lights blinked red. On the surface, Adobe's empire looked untouched. But in the deep, silent corridors of their digital infrastructure, something was terribly wrong.
A cyber attack against a major software company tonight. Adobe says the attacker accessed 3 million customer names and credit card numbers.
2.9 million Adobe user accounts have been hacked.
Adobe had always been a titan of creativity. Their tools powered movies, magazines, websites, entire industries. And behind that creative magic was trust. Users believed their data was safe. Businesses believed their work was secure. Governments believed Adobe's systems were unbreakable. But belief, it turns out, isn't the same as truth. Somewhere in the shadows, hackers found a way in. No one knows exactly when it happened, but by the time Adobe noticed, the damage had already spread like wildfire beneath the surface. At first, they thought it was small, a few million accounts, perhaps. But as they dug deeper, the numbers grew. 10 million, 20, 38 million user accounts, exposed, breached, stolen. But this was only the beginning. Among the stolen data were encrypted passwords and email addresses. Not ideal, but manageable. Then came the second blow. Adobe had stored password hints. Not encrypted, not protected, just plain text. Questions like mother's maiden name or first school lay wide open, giving hackers a dangerous head start to crack accounts. But even that wasn't the worst part. Somewhere within that stolen treasure trove was a much darker secret. Adobe's source code. Not just for one product, but for Cold Fusion, Acrobat, and even Photoshop. To the average person, this might seem technical, but to cybersecurity experts, this was a digital nightmare. The source code is the brain, the DNA of software. With it, attackers could dissect every command, every function, every hidden door. They could craft malware that looked exactly like Adobe's tools. They could build exploits that would slip past antivirus systems undetected. It was the kind of theft that could echo for years. Inside Adobe's walls, panic began to grow. This wasn't just about stolen data anymore. It was about trust, shattered in a single blow. And the question loomed like a ghost in the machine. How did they get in? For years, experts had warned that Cold Fusion, the very platform Adobe was built on, had cracks, vulnerabilities, holes in the armor. Most likely, the attackers had used one of these weaknesses to breach the walls. And once inside, they didn't smash or break. They watched. They waited. They copied everything they could without making a sound. Then they vanished. When Adobe finally went public with the news, the internet reacted like a struck nerve. Shock turned into fear. Security firms scrambled to analyze the leaked data, and what they found was even more disturbing. Among the breached accounts were employees from NASA, the U.S. Army, the Department of Energy, and even the FBI. These weren't just random users. These were gatekeepers of national security, and their accounts were compromised. Then came the third blow. The stolen data began to surface. Passwords, emails, corporate documents appearing on dark web marketplaces and underground forums. Security companies tried to stop the bleeding, but the data was already loose, already circulating, already feeding other attacks. Adobe offered a year of credit monitoring to some users. They reset passwords. They said all the right things. But for many, the trust was gone. And in the background, lawsuits started piling up. 15 U.S. states joined forces to sue Adobe for failing to protect consumer data. Eventually, Adobe settled, paying a $1 million fine, a small amount compared to the magnitude of the damage. But what really shook the world wasn't the money or the lawsuits. It was the realization that even giants could bleed. For cybersecurity experts, the Adobe attack became a case study in everything that could go wrong. Poor password encryption, plain text hints, outdated systems. It wasn't one flaw, it was a chain of them. And that chain snapped in 2013. Years have passed, but the echoes of the breach still ripple through the digital world. Copies of Adobe's source code may still exist in hidden corners of the internet. Accounts compromised back then may have served as keys to even bigger attacks. We'll never truly know how deep the damage went. What we do know is this: the Adobe breach wasn't just a story of stolen data. It was a story of overconfidence, of underestimating the quiet power of a single vulnerability. It was a lesson written not in code, but in consequence. And the most terrifying part? It didn't start with a bang. It started with silence. If you liked this story and want more true hacking cases like this, hit like, subscribe to AM Tricks, and turn on notifications.